It's Monday, January 9th, 2023, and this is episode 274 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, how are you doing these days?
Pretty good. Busy moving into our new house. That's
Still doing that?
Oh, yeah. It's going to go on for a while.
Okay, good. Well, at least you have a place to stay until you're completely in. Are you living there at all?
Yeah. No, not yet. I mean, we're spending a lot of time there, but we're not sleeping there at night. We just haven't got the beds situated right yet. And there's no food in the refrigerator. That's the most important thing.
Okay, right. So there's no reason to stay there at all, right?
No.
Well, Dr. Mike, on our last episode, you had kind of made a joke about how you had moved from a warm environment that had craps to a cold environment that doesn't have craps, whereas Brendan had done the exact opposite. He moved to Florida, and you said, you know, it's warm there and it has craps. Well, we were inundated by messages from listeners, including Brendan himself, saying, Dr. Mike, there's no craps in Florida.
Well, you know, when he said Hard Rock, I just assumed that, you know, it was a full-on casino with craps.
Right. I think they tried to deal it for a little while, and then they got shut down. The state came in and said, oh, no, you can't do that. They do have bubble craps, and at least at one point, I know they had some roll-to-win electronic games. In other words, not with real dice, right? Just the ones that automatically roll electronically for you. But no craps, so we're setting the record straight here. Still no craps in Florida.
No live craps.
Or no live craps, correct. No true craps, yes.
What's wrong with Florida?
Oh, Mike, what a loaded question.
Let's see if we get some replies to that.
What's wrong with Florida? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'll just tweet that out. What's wrong with Florida? And I'll have like the longest thread in the podcast Twitter history. Yeah. All right. So we got that cleared up. Mike, you've been to Diamond Joe Worth recently?
Yeah, I was there last week, and I was kind of hoping to go this weekend too, but I never made it. The weather wasn't so great, and we were busy. But yeah, I went last week, and it was fun. Nothing great to report as far as like win or anything, but I had a good time. I was there, and a couple of people from me said all of a sudden, "Aren't you Dr. Mike?" And I said, "Yeah." He had recognized my voice. It was one of our listeners, Darshan. And he said that he has listened from day one, every episode. And he had just listened driving there, I guess, to the last episode. So, that was fun. And also there was Alan and Donna. I don't know if you remember them from the first time I went there. They were there.
Oh, okay.
And funny thing, so Alan walks up to the table and all the dealers, know him. They're regulars, and said, "Hey, Alan, how's it going?" And somebody said, "Where's Donna?" And he just looked at him and said, "The drunk's still at the bar."
Didn't say my wife. Didn't say Donna. Said the drunk.
The drunk is still at the bar. I was laughing so hard. Anyway, they were fun and lively as usual.
And then, when we were there all together, that first night, I noticed that on another table, there were like dealers and floor personnel that dumped a huge load of cash onto one of the craps tables and was like counting it. And you found out what that was.
Yeah, I asked. I don't know how it came up, but I said, what's the deal with them dumping all that cash on the table and sorting it out? And they told me that it was slot tips.
Okay, so they all pool their tips. Slot tips for like cocktail waitresses, that kind of thing?
I guess. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
They said slot tips, so I'm assuming it was like cocktail waitresses who...
I guess it could be not just the servers, but maybe personnel too, if like a jackpot is hit or something.
Yeah,
sometimes those slot attendants get tipped.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean...
Okay.
We saw it. It was mostly like ones and fives and... a few tens and stuff.
It's funny, though, isn't it, that they just do that out all in the open, right on one of the empty tables, not in some back room somewhere.
Yeah, wouldn't that be done in like a back room or something?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Maybe there's, camera on the table, but there's not a camera in the back room.
Oh, come on. There are cameras in the back rooms, especially in like the counting room, right? So
yeah, you would think. But it was funny how it's just a ton of cash.
Yeah.
It's all this cash, and it's crumpled up too.
Right. Yeah, like it was pushed into pockets and things.
Yeah, like it was pushed into someone's pocket. It's just funny. Every casino should have that. Can you imagine in Vegas?
Oh, it'd be a big ritual. I'd love it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the counting of the slot tips.
The dump.
The dump.
The dump.
It's time for the dump.
For the dump. And they carry it out in a big wicker basket,
Yeah. Trumpets going off.
Anyway, so we solved that mystery about the dump.
All right. Good. Well, while you were heading out to Diamond Joe Worth, my sister and my mom headed out to Hamul Casino out here. We had a nice lunch at the Tony Gwynn Sports Bar. And then we went around, played some slots a little bit. My mom doesn't like to sit at a slot for too long, so we kind of jump from slot to slot and just,
Yeah, she uses that 5-pull method.
That's right, the 5-pull, and then moves on. But, no luck there with the slots. And, she played maybe $40, the whole time. It was just more to go out and have the lunch and play. But one thing that caught my eye, Mike, on the machines, you put in your player's card and there's this little display. On these, there's like these little LCD displays that show your bankroll and, your tier credit amount and stuff like that. Well, all the machines on the left-hand side also had like a little video monitor that was showing sports.
Nice.
Yeah. So, it would come up, I don't know, the default was like ESPN, and there was a button you could press to change channels, between all the sports channels. So if there was a game that you were interested in and there wasn't a monitor close by, you just have it right there on your machine. I mean, I've never seen it before. Maybe some listeners have seen it at other casinos, but this was new to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
And great for the casino, really. Keeps a person at the slot machine.
Keeps him at the slot, right? Oh, I got to check that score. No, it's right here.
or some person who's like, oh, the blah, blah, blah game's starting. I better, go to the bar and watch it. Yeah. Well, now they just stay on their slot machine and watch it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, they're smart. In some ways, the casinos are smart.
Yeah, in some ways. They've got it figured out. Yeah. Now, when they get to where you can choose anything, like if you want to watch one of the Star Wars movies or an old Good Times TV show or something like that, you can just click on that.
Yeah.
Then you got something. Yeah.
Yep.
You can live there.
Star Wars or an old Good Times episode. That's an interesting thing for you to just pull out of the air.
Just came to my head.
Well, very good.
Well, you could just sit there and watch your shows and get your free drinks and get your gambling in and maybe even order food at some places. They might be able to bring you some potato chips or something.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And you sit there and, that's just to live there.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, Dr. Mike.
It's the solution to the homeless problem.
Yeah, there you go. As long as you have money for the slots.
Yeah, I'm not homeless. I live at Verona.
Well, I will say this, Mike, about Hamul, and you've witnessed it yourself. Their cashier situation is still just absolutely horrible. The lines just get so big. Now,
it's the worst I've ever seen.
It's the worst I've ever seen. Luckily, they have a separate line for not just the higher tiers, but also for just cashing in chips. And I should say, too, that their Players Club and cashier, it's combined. So it's one window, right? But
that's part of the problem. They need to do something about that.
It's just awful. I feel so sorry for people who are in the quote unquote regular line because it is so slow. And when I got up to the counter, I asked the cashier, do you get a lot of complaints about how bad these lines are here? And I was just more curious about if she got complaints. I think she took it as me complaining, and I wasn't. I was just curious. Oh, I'm sorry for the wait. And it's like, oh, no, that's fine. So, because, I mean, it's just awful. Anyway, nothing good to report about the cashier situation at Hamul.
Well, they're building a hotel there, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, they're going to finally build a hotel.
They're going to build a hotel. I mean, add a little space for a players club or something, just even if you have to do a little construction off the side somewhere and then, separate the two, and that might help a lot.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people in line just to get like the free gift that day or
things like that. Yes, exactly.
Stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they're not taking money out or gambling. It seems to me they're losing money that way. They'd be better off to have that somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, casinos don't know
Not
what
all
they're
the
doing,
time.
right? So
Yeah. Here's an example of a casino who gets it right in one spot and then miserably misses the mark in another spot.
Yeah. So anyway, we had fun. That's the bottom line. And again, we weren't there too long. I don't have much to say.
No, I didn't win $1 million.
Didn't win $1 million. I played a little craps for just a little bit. I lost like $100 or whatever. But
yeah.
So
the craps game there is pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. 10 times odds there now. So yeah, it was, and it wasn't crowded. I had no trouble getting in. The dealers were a little green, but the boxman, they have a dedicated boxman, so that was nice, and he certainly knew what he was doing. So yeah, it was fine. Yeah. Well, our good friend Ed O'Connor pointed us to a news story here, Mike. There was a woman in New Jersey who won just under $1.7 million playing the side bet on a carnival game, poker-based carnival game. I guess it's one of those progressives that spans a bunch of different poker-based table games. And it doesn't say what she hit here. I assume it was some kind of big straight flush or royal flush or whatever. But anyway, won just under $1.7 million. But the story is she tipped $77,000 to the table dealers. Not bad. What do you think about? I was trying to think about that. If you won, say, $1.7 million, you'd kind of be in shock. But what would you think about tipping at that point?
I would say $170,000.
So you would go real big like that. You'd go 10% because this 77,000 was about 5%. So you'd go that high. You would have made the news.
Yeah. No, 5% is good too.
Yeah.
But I'd give 10%, 1 point.
Would you really? Because I mean, even with that much, I don't think when you get into those big totals like that anybody expects, and I, use that in quotes because tipping is a hot issue, right? Whether to tip or not. But I don't think anybody expects you to tip that much. Maybe $10,000, even though percentage-wise it's not much.
Yeah, but think about it. You're still taking home a chunk of money.
Yes, minus taxes, but yes.
Yeah, if I'm taking home $1.6 million and I'm paying, let's say, 50% taxes, I'm still taking home $800,000.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
I'm wondering, it's one thing for you to say this on the podcast. I'm wondering if you were really pressed in that situation, if maybe you would initially think, okay, I'm going to give them $100-some thousand, and then you start talking yourself down. Oh, maybe 80,000. Actually, maybe 50,000. Well, 20,000. That's going to be a lot for them. I have a feeling you'd talk yourself down.
I don't think so. I think I wouldn't go any lower than 100,000, Mark.
Okay. Well, good for you, Dr. Mike. I mean, I
might do 100,000. Okay. I mean, you know me, Mark. I want to make everyone happy.
It's certainly in keeping with your personality. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and we'll keep everyone happy, and we'll just give a big tip. I'm not going home thinking, oh God, I only brought home, this, and I could have brought home more if I didn't tip. I would never ever think that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I hope it happens
I don't know.
for you.
But
Dr.
I mean,
Mike.
that's a good. Yeah, I do too. But that's a good tip, though. Still, 77,000.
Well, again, it made the news. So
yeah, nice. And I wonder how many people split that up.
That's a good question, right? It just says table dealers. So was it the whole shift? Was it the entire casino table deal? Well, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they split it up.
I'm sure they're pretty happy because that's a nice little bonus in your paycheck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we got an email from Jake. He was kind of talking about casino chip collections. I've got a bit of a collection right here, but I don't have it on display anywhere. It's just in a shoebox somewhere. I really should get it out and make kind of a nice display for it. But he was saying he thought a fun discussion would be to talk about what our favorite chips are on the strip or in general and why that is. And I started thinking about that, Mike. Chips, certainly with as long as we've been going to casino, chips have kind of changed. Remember back in the olden days, and I specifically remember Stardust, a lot of the chips on the table games would have like a metal insert. It was kind of, it was almost, it wasn't even so much clay on the outside. It seemed more like plastic, like a hard plastic, and then a metal insert. You don't really see those anymore. Those were the norm. And so I'm kind of nostalgic for those now. I'm kind of thinking, well, those are my favorite. Whereas at the time, it was kind of fun when just these completely clay, or it's like a composite, but these clay chips came out. I remember the first time I ever saw one, I think it was at Caesar's Palace, it was like a $25 chip, completely green, no metal insert, nice printing on it. And now that's kind of the norm. Do you have any kind of favorite types of chips?
Well, I do like those old ones with the metal inserts.
Yeah.
Those were kind of cool. And every once in a while, one would come out.
Oh, yes, that's right. It would break out.
You would break out. You'd be holding the chip and the center would break out. I always thought that was kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
For chips nowadays, I like when they have something neat on them. Like, for instance, Golden Gate has the girls dancing.
Oh, right. Yeah,
right?
like they have some kind of photograph on them or something. And,
and it's a different girl on different chips. So it's kind of fun. Something to look at when you're looking at your chips. I mean, not just that it's a girl, but just that it's different, right? It's not, it's not like every $25 chip looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. I like stuff like that. I liked when Harrah's had those, souvenir chips.
Yeah, it was kind of a novelty, like the $5 chips, like 25th anniversary or, New Year's 1999 or
right, or something. Those were good for collecting, and that was a smart move on their part.
Let me ask you this: do you miss the metal $1 chips at Caesar's Palace?
Definitely.
Okay,
I definitely miss those.
So again, in the olden days, if you played dollar slots, you wouldn't actually put in silver dollars. They would have these special tokens, completely metal, that you would put into the dollar slots. And Caesar's Palace was the only place, at least that we knew of, where they used those $1 chips also on their table games. Most other casinos would have the dedicated clay chips, like white chips that say $1. But Caesars, for whatever reason, would have the metal chips actually on the table games, and they eventually got rid of that. But you like
they
that?
Should not have done that. I love those. I love the sound of them, Mark.
Yeah.
When you had a stack of them, like on a blackjack table, and people, play with their chips, the sound of the metal clinking together. And, if you're going to throw something in a trash can, a metal chip.
It does make a better noise than, just a clay chip.
A better noise.
I agree with you on that, Dr. Mike. I wonder what the dealers would have to say about it. I wonder if they really...
Oh, I'm sure they were happy to get rid of them.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
They're heavier, and they have to deal with them all day. We're just there for a short time. Yeah. But they were fun.
Well, and too, back then, we're talking about 25, 30 years ago, the minimums were a lot lower too. So they were more likely to be using those dollar chips on the tables, place the 6 and 8 for $12 each, that kind of thing. It's the only time they really use dollar chips, I imagine, at Caesars anymore, some of the prop bets, things like that. So
yeah, well, and I mean, if they had I guess for the $15 table, they might have, someone might
something like that, and for the VIG too on buy bets, I guess they use it more than I was thinking about. But anyway,
but still, it is easier for them with the lighter clay chips. Plus, these newer chips are all have a chip in them, right? So.
Oh yeah, like the RFID, where they can actually recognize the chip, the value, make sure it's actually from the casino, not counterfeit. Yeah.
Right, and when you check out, they spread them out on the screen there, so they have a display that actually tells them what the total is.
Yeah. In
a lot of ways, that's better for the casino, but it makes the chips different. So another thing I want to add, Mark, is that you should keep your chips in a shoebox.
Really? You think because then they're safer, they won't get sun damage?
No, not that. Just anyone can make a nice display and put them out for people to see.
Yeah.
But I like it if I came over to your house and I said, "Oh, I've got this nice display," and you brought out a shoebox full of chips. Yeah. Oh, that would impress me.
That's nice, Dr. Mike. I'm not that ostentatious. Here's my collection.
Here's my collection. And it's just huge. Just multiple shoeboxes.
Can't get through it. I'm trying to find this one specific. I can't find it.
Because, me, I'm all for shoeboxes with things in them. I think that is the best thing in the world. I still put my bills that have to be paid. Like if I don't, sometimes I pay them right when I get them, but sometimes I'm going to pay this, in a week from now. I have a shoebox for that.
You do.
I
line
them up in my shoebox.
You don't have, auto pay or anything like that. It's a little too complicated for you, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, it's silly. It takes all the fun out of it, Mark.
Yeah, all the fun. I agree.
I like them lined up in a shoebox.
Well, last episode, we talked briefly about how our good friend Patrick from Canada was seeing a spike in his comps when he would bet the extreme numbers on a crapless craps table. In other words, buying like the 2, 3, 11, and 12, crapless craps. Those can actually be points. So also you can buy them. It's not really a place bet. It's a buy bet, where you pay the VIG. And he said, my tier credit earnings have increased, I believe, by a magnitude of about 2 to 3 times when he does this. So that's really something. And he contacted me and was just running some numbers because he was thinking that these extreme numbers were actually pretty good bets. And after going back and forth with him a little bit to get some of the numbers he was talking about, I completely agree. Now, if you only pay the VIG on winning bets, right, these buy bets, if you buy the 3 or 11, the house edge is about 1.25%. And if you buy the 2 or 12, the house edge is 0.71%. Now, that's based on a $20 bet. A lot of these casinos will let you go up to $25 on the buy for just $1 VIG. And in that case, the 3 and 11, it drops down to a 1% house edge. And for the 2 and 12, 0.57% house edge. Mike, that's the lowest house edge of any bet on the craps table, other than free odds, obviously. 0.57%. Now, the variance on those bets is a lot higher, right? Because you only win like the 2. You bet on the 2, you're only going to win, 1 out of every 7 times. But still, 0.57%. And again, this is critical. It's only when you pay the VIG on winning bets. If you have to pay the VIG up front, the house edge on almost all the buy bets is over 4%, so it's not even worth it. But I think the 2 and 12 are great examples of why paying the VIG only on wins is so crucial. So like I said, you're going to win that bet 1 out of 7 times. You're going to lose it 6 out of 7 times. All right, so you've got 7 outcomes. Well, if you have to pay the VIG up front, that's $7 for all those possible outcomes.
Right.
But if you only pay it on a winning bet, that's $1 for all those 7 outcomes, right?
Right.
So it just goes to show you. But Patrick also said, you kind of need a bankroll because you could go for a long time without winning these bets, right? Just the variance on it. So
sure.
But anyway, it's
and add in the fact that if he is getting, let's say, 2 or 3 times more
the comps and stuff,
points, then you're making a pretty good bet and you're getting more comps. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, so you keep that in mind if any other listeners kind of see that. I know that the guys at Crap Vegas, they love crapless craps because you can make these bets. I'm always dumping on crapless craps because I'm kind of a pass line and come bet player, and those are pretty bad bets at crapless craps. But shoot, if you're interested in just buying, and even the 4 and 10 are pretty good house edge, when you only pay the VIG on winning bets, heck, just go all the way outside the extreme numbers and sit back and hope you get on a nice run and then see if, your tier credits and your reward credits go up.
Yeah, that is a nice way to play. You'll never be shooting, probably.
Well,
right?
I mean, when it comes to you got to make a pass line bet. If you don't want to make a pass line bet, just pass the dice. But if you do want to roll, you do have to make a pass line bet. That's up to you, right? Depends on how many people are at the table or, if you really are anxious to shoot. So, I mean, I would pass the dice. I'm sure you'd still make a bet.
Yeah.
But especially...
I probably would.
Yeah, especially if they have like 10 times odds, something like that. Well, then you can kind of counter the house edge on the pass line with your odds. So, yep.
Yeah, that's good. It's nice that Patrick noticed that. I mean, that'd kind of be lost on some people, I think, seeing the increase in their credits.
Sure. And, again, he's just doing this based on empirically seeing, what's happening. And it could be something else too. And other people might experience something different. But it is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. Good tip.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonThat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to voicemails. First up, our friends Taylor and Tara.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor and Tara from New Mexico.
Hi.
We are in Vegas, Henderson, for Christmas, and sports betting has just been going horribly. And you know what that means? Full tilt on San Diego State bowl game tomorrow.
Oh, dear.
I think that's the lesson. we went to the Silver Knights game last night. It was really fun. I had a question. They were selling the 50-50 raffle. I feel like those are easier to hit than some other things that we discussed. Have either of you, or any listeners, or do you know anyone who's hit that? It seemed at a small venue like that quite doable. So we were just wondering. Yeah. Gambling's going okay, and by okay I mean Tara hit another royal, so we're breaking even. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, the Silver Knights are a minor league affiliate hockey team to the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. So
they're in the same town?
Yeah, same place. That's Henderson, Mike. But yes.
Yeah, Henderson. But, yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, of course, it's a smaller venue. You're going to have smaller crowds. Yes, you're more likely to win the 50-50 raffle just because there are fewer people. But still, really go into it thinking, okay, this is for charity. Because 50%, goes to charity. 50% goes back to, to pay winners. And that's pretty terrible, right? If you're talking about gambling. If you want to do it keeping in mind that, okay, you're donating to a charity rather than, hey, this is a good bet. Because no, it's not a good bet.
Well, look at it this way. If you own a business or something, you buy the 50-50 tickets and then you write it off as a donation because it is.
Yeah, well, I guess, even if you're not a business, you could do it, right?
Yeah,
anybody could do it. That's a very good question. Does that count as donating to a charity? And what if you win? Do you still get credit for the donation?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you have to report that if you win, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you won more than you donated.
Yeah.
But we did it at the Padre games all the time.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did.
Sure.
I always bought those 50-50 tickets at Padre games.
Did you ever win or do you know anybody who ever won?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
But there they only picked like one number. So there'd be like $20,000 in there, and then one person would get 10,000 and 10,000 would go to some charity.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know anyone who ever won. Now at the local high school basketball games here, they run a 50-50 thing. And I like it because they don't just pick one name. They pick out like 5 names.
Oh, okay.
And the first one they pick out gets their choice of what they want. And
I see. Like prizes.
So,
okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the first thing is like a cash prize. Like you could take that, it's like $25 or something or whatever. And then, all the way down to, like a cup with the school logo on it or something. Right. But, it's kind of fun. Like if you don't get the cash prize, I want a t-shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
I like doing those. I mean, especially since, the school gets some money.
Sure. Well, as far as the tax ramifications go, please consult with your tax advisor. Don't listen to anything we say because we don't know what we're talking about.
We don't know for sure, but, it would seem legitimate.
Well, it would depend on the charity too, right? All right. Let's not even go down that road. We don't know what we're talking about.
Maybe we're going to have a 50-50 raffle for you can bet on that.
We'll do that next time we're at the craps table. Who wants a raffle? We got a bunch of listeners around it. Got a bunch of tickets. Sir, what are you doing?
The winner gets a t-shirt if we ever make them.
Yeah, great. So in other words, all the money's coming to us. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Got it. All right. Next call.
Always thinking, Mark. I'm an idea man.
Hello, Mark, Dr. Mike. This is Aaron from Indianapolis giving you a call. Love the podcast. Been listening for a long time. Wanted to wish you guys Happy New Year's and just give a little New Year's trip report from Harrah's Hoosier Park in Anderson, Indiana. Overall, the day was fantastic there. A lot of fun on the blackjack table. That was a big win for me. One thing I heard about, though, was apparently there's been a slight change at Caesars Properties where now on double-deck pitch, what used to be pitch blackjack, they are not allowed any longer to actually deal from the pitch, and it has to be from a shoe. Apparently there was an incident at the Shelbyville, Indiana property. Don't know any of the details. This is what I heard about from a dealer. Just wondered if there's any you guys have heard anything about this as well, or if maybe other people have seen anything, different changes at some of the Caesars properties. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work. Guys, have a great night. Happy New Year.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Happy New Year to you.
I don't think I've ever seen a double deck game dealt out of a shoe. I imagine it happens some places, but that's pretty unusual. Have you ever seen that, Dr. Mike?
No, I have never seen that.
Well, all the double deck games we've seen have been hand dealt pitch games, what you call them. I don't know. He's saying Caesars properties. Maybe it's just kind of around that area, Indiana, et cetera. If anybody sees that in Las Vegas, let us know. But no, that's
now.
news
Why
to us.
would they? What would the incident be that
I don't know.
would cause them to stop?
Who knows? I mean, if there's something going on with a double deck game, wouldn't that also apply to a single deck game? I don't know. You know, when you're holding a double deck, maybe some dealers just don't hold it very well because it's 104 cards instead of 52. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it sure would seem like a lot of rigmarole to do it out of a shoe.
Yeah.
I mean, to shuffle them and load the shoe and do all that.
If anybody knows anything more about this, let us know. But sure, yeah, that's news to us.
I'm thinking, Mark, that the trouble with the pitch game is one of the cards flew up and poked somebody in the eye.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Probably took their eye out.
I mean, it's always fun until somebody loses an eye. And then, that's what it was.
Yeah. You're probably right. I can't think of any other reason. All right, next call.
Mark, Dr. Mike, hope you gents had a wonderful holiday season. This is Vinny from Virginia calling back with a trip report. Actually, 2 brief trips. Recently was back home in Western North Carolina. Spent the night at Harrah's Cherokee. I've been to every Harrah's except Biloxi, and I think Harrah's Cherokee is tied for first with Harrah's Atlantic City. The only thing is the restaurant selection is not fantastic. They do have a new Gordon Ramsay collection with various street foods, but frankly, it's not great. The craps is like you would unfortunately expect these days, $25 to $50 minimums, and at that level, I simply don't enjoy the game, so I haven't played craps in quite a while. I know that probably breaks both of your hearts. Backer at Cherokee is also very expensive, $100 to $200 a hand. They do have stadium gaming with blackjack, craps, and roulette for better price point, but it does not pay comps, and the blackjack only pays 6 to 5. They have 6 to 5 standard blackjack that starts at $15, and 3 to 2 payouts begin at $25 a hand. The 3 to 2 payout game is 6 decks. You can split any cards up to 4 times, but not aces. Double after the split is allowed. No surrender. Had a modest one at the tables for this trip. Rooms are clean, and they're in the process of updating some of the remaining ones. More recently, though, I was in Las Vegas for the Mr. Olympia competition, and due to a scheduling error on my part, no one to blame but myself, ended up at the Excalibur, whereas I usually stay at the Wynn if I'm staying on the Strip. Okay, Excalibur. Not as bad as I was expecting, and decent for the price. It's fine if you're just looking for a place to stay. The buffet was certainly not as bad as I was expecting, and pretty good. Spent much more time next door at the Luxor, which is also a budget hotel, and for the money, I feel is a much better option. Saw a show there called Fantasy, and highly recommend it to your male listeners. Did most of my gambling at the Wynn and the El Cortez, where I believe their best blackjack is. Wynn has 6 decks, $25 to $50 minimums, 3 to 2, split up to 4 times, including aces, plus surrender. And the El Cortez, I had always wanted to go, and so glad I did. I really want to stay there next time I'm there. It's like stepping back in time. They have the single deck blackjack, the best game in Las Vegas, 3 to 2 payout, $15 minimum, no surrender or double after the split, but a very, very low house advantage game. Pretty much break even for me, but did get a comp meal at Siegel's, which I had never been to at the El Cortez. Fantastic. Not many places you can get a proper matzo ball soup or liver and onions anymore. Anyway, next month heading to MGM National Harbor. We'll hope to give you a call back with a good report there. Hope all is doing well for both of you gents. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you for the terrific information there, Vinny. Yeah. And, you know, another kind of glowing review of Harrah's Cherokee, at least as far as the property goes. Yeah, they probably have some high minimums now. He did say maybe the food options weren't that great. But how's it coming on you organizing that Harrah's Cherokee trip, Mike?
Yeah, it's in the process.
Okay,
Mark,
great. In the process. All right, good.
I really do want to go there. And he mentioned he hadn't been to Harrah's and Biloxi, so he should come to Biloxi.
He should, although Harrah's and Biloxi, for me, was absolutely worst Harrah's I've ever been to. So, in fact, when we go, and I'm pretty set on going, I think Sherry and I are both going to go, we'll probably stay at a different hotel, not even Harrah's, not even try to take advantage of the comp, just because it was so crummy, I thought.
Really? Yeah. That crummy, huh?
I thought so.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. But Harrah's Cherokee sounds like a great place.
Yeah.
I'm surprised about the food. My brother hasn't said anything about that, and he's really into the food. So I'm going to have to ask him about that.
So speaking of the Biloxi trip, Mike, what are your chances of going? Right? In May.
Yeah, fair. I'd say
fair. You'd say Okay.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
about March Madness?
Well, see, that's it. If I go in March and then May,
All right.
I'm going to have to make a decision on that.
You do need to make a decision. I would push, if it was one or the other, I would push for Biloxi because there's going to be a lot of people there that we know.
There.
And, listeners that maybe we've never met before. So, yeah,
right. Well, and that's a place I haven't seen.
Right.
Vegas I've seen many times.
Okay, so I'm going to start really pressuring you for the Biloxi trip.
All right. I will know by February.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hold you to that.
All right. One more thing as far as Excalibur. Oh, yeah. I never had a problem. I think we stayed there once or twice way back.
Way back. When it was relatively new. But yeah, sure.
And it was okay. And I liked Luxor too.
Yeah, I think we hear, as far as Excalibur goes, that it's a very good low-tier property. And we hear a lot of good things about the minimums there.
Right.
You can find some pretty good minimums at the table games. So, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, now once again, it's been a long time since we've been there. The dealers were always very nice there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long that it's hard to say that,
those dealers are dead.
Those dealers are all dead.
Now.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. They were younger than us when we were there, but they're dead now.
Yeah, they're dead now. We're old.
All right, last call. Let's hear from Taylor and Tara again.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor and Tara from New Mexico. It's day after Christmas. We're back from 2 nights at Green Valley Ranch and 2 nights at Red Rock. So Christmas Eve, we were at Red Rock, and John B., the EMT from Pennsylvania, came over from the Strip, and Chris Taylor, the Vegas fun boy, came, and we played some craps. There are 4 tables open. Christmas Eve, Saturday night, $15 tables, and 3 $10 tables, and it was just wonderful. We finally saw the monster roll that we always heard about. This gentleman rolled for, we called it 45 minutes. He made all tall, all small, all tall again. And second time around, we only needed 8. And he laid $300 to hedge. And he threw a few times, made some numbers. And this was a boss move. He said, take the lay bet down. Threw it, 5-3. Just made a boss move right in front of us. It was really cool. I would like to hear some boss moves that you have encountered over the years. Anyway. Yeah. Tara says yes, you lost.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're trying to think about it. Great seeing people from the community. Happy New Year. Thank you for your podcast, and we'll see you some other time. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Taylor and Tara.
Yep. I saw their pictures on Twitter of them over the Christmas break. Yeah, it looked like everyone was having a good time.
Yeah, it was great. Everybody was able to get together on that Christmas Eve. Yeah, boss moves. Well, I'll tell you, I think I have the best boss move. It's when I called my $2,500 4 off for 2 rolls, and the next 2 rolls were 4s. That's a boss move, my friend.
Yeah. That is. Although I think they call that the anti-boss move.
Oh,
Mark.
Is that it? Yeah. You might be right. Mike, have you seen any boss moves or made any boss moves that strike you?
Gosh, I don't remember. I can't remember.
Like
those.
some kind of like a hop bet or something.
Yeah, we've all seen those where give me a 12. Yeah. And he usually calls it the hard 12 or
right.
This person, give me that hard 12. Yeah. And then 12 comes up. Yeah. I don't know if those are such boss moves. Calling your bet off and then immediately rolling the 8, that's pretty good.
I guess that's
but I just out of the blue asking for a 12 and 12 comes up. I mean, 1 in 36 chance, I guess.
Right. Well, keep your eye out for boss moves, Mike. And then
all right, I'm going to start taking notes of those. I've got this thing on my phone that says notes, and I can take notes on it.
Can you use it, though? Are you able to use it, Dr. Mike? That's really the key.
I am kind of able to use it. Right. It does work sometimes. My daughters give me a hard time because I always tell them I have a flashlight app on my phone. And they always say, well, you have the flashlight on your home. You just hit this button. I said, yeah, but I have an app for it.
All right, Dr. Mike, take a pad and pencil with you just in case. I'm not convinced you're going to be able to keep track of these boss moves.
Right.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. Jeremy at the Color Up YouTube channel. James and Kurt. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from John B. From Tara's role tonight, I put Mike on the all, tall, small, and tall hit. And that was part of the session that Taylor was talking about on the phone call. So thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
And finally, a donation from Thomas. Thanks for the pod. Headed to AC for an overnight trip with some friends. Well, good luck on that trip, Thomas. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat. And on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Dr. Mike, do you still hate football?
I was just going to mention that. I hate football.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my God. I love college football.
Okay.
Professional football is the one I hate. This year hasn't it been kind of a weird year to you?
I think so. I think everybody would say the NFL's been a little tough to handicap this year, sure.
It's been a weird year to figure out. Well, look at Jacksonville yesterday won. They're in the playoffs, winning their division. Last year, they had the worst record in the NFL.
Well, look at the Rams, right? I mean...
Yeah, the Rams win the Super Bowl, and this year, they can't beat a high school team. Yeah. I mean... I don't know. It's just been a weird year.
A weird year, and certainly your bets. Dr. Mike handles all the football bets. Your bets will confirm that. It hasn't been a very good year for you at the NFL.
No, college was way better.
Yeah.
College was, thank God, way better. But the NFL season has been weird. I mean, so weird, Mark, that I'm not betting anything today.
I know. Yeah, we're recording this on NFL Sunday, and Mike said, "Nope, nothing today." You just I just don't.
I mean, it's so hard to pick on the regular weeks, and now the last week of the season's always, who knows who's going to play. Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs played Patrick Mahomes for most of the game yesterday. Yeah. I mean, I would have thought for sure they'd set him down and give him some rest or something. But anyway, football's been rough. But I'm happy to report college basketball is going well.
Yep.
I'm enjoying that. I've got a lot to watch every night. It's amazing how much is on there.
Yeah. So that's sports. Anything else before we go, Mike?
Let's see. I've got an episode of Good Times queued up on the TV here to watch as soon as this episode ends here.
Okay. Hopefully it's one featuring JJ where he's like the main character in the episode.
The reason I thought about it is because I was just reading, and I don't know why this happens, but I was sitting there thinking, I wonder whatever happened to the characters on that show.
The characters, not the actors, the characters.
Yeah, the characters. First I looked up the characters, then the actors.
Okay, all right.
But anyway, I got on the search engine there and looked for all of the actors, what they're doing and what happened with their lives and stuff. I don't know why. Then I thought, I really did like that show.
It was okay. The problem was ultimately, certainly on the early episodes, it was about a black family. It was written mostly by white men, right? So, and that's one of the reasons John Amos, one of the leads, the father on the show left, he was just so frustrated with the scripts and, wanted it to be.
And I have always liked him as an actor.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's great.
I mean, I think he's great.
Yeah.
But I know it had some issues, but I don't know why. Just one of those shows.
It was a funny show. There's no question it was a funny show. Yeah, certainly for the time. Yeah,
for the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know how well it'd go over today.
That's right.
But back then we thought it was fun. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Not much else going on. I am currently running the score clock and the time for the high school basketball games,
fun,
girls and boys. And so that keeps me pretty busy, and it's very enjoyable, and no one's yelled at me too much.
Good.
So the refs take most of the abuse.
Oh, yeah, that is good, right? You're...
Yeah, I only got yelled at once. Start the clock, idiot!
That's right. Sorry.
Well, I'll start it when I'm ready, all right?
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Okay, let's thin this herd. Untucked shirt, no thank you. Born in San Diego, yikes.
An adult named Todd?
So, This is what online dating is like?